Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating science behind Si14 Li. It's a highly specific, microdosed lithium solution, and it's literally designed for the high-stress, always-on, modern environments we navigate every single day. Look, if you've ever felt that cognitive burn from a high-pressure career, that constant feeling of being intellectually drained, running on fumes, and just struggling to switch your brain off at night, well, this is going to be incredibly relevant for you. We're unpacking exactly how targeted neuromodulation works at the cellular level, because honestly, a trace element might just be the missing piece of your cognitive longevity puzzle.
We've got a brilliant roadmap for today. First up, an introduction to microdosing. Then, we'll cover biology and neural connections. Third, cognitive and anti-stress support. Next, the mechanism of action. And finally, how to actually take Si14 Li. Let's get right to it.
Section 1. Introduction to Microdosing Redefining Lithium. So, to start, we really need to completely reset what you might think you know about lithium and step into the world of microdosing. This solution is targeted right at people dealing with extreme cognitive and informational loads. Think about financial market specialists on a chaotic trading floor, busy executives managing endless fires, or IT pros staring down complex systems with zero margin for error. It's built from the ground up for folks whose daily life absolutely demands rapid decision-making. When your brain is your primary asset, maintaining its operational capacity under pressure, that isn't a luxury, it's an absolute necessity. Now, the crucial point to understand here is the legal and functional classification. This is a dietary supplement or a biologically active additive. Let me be clear, it is strictly not a pharmaceutical drug. We're talking about gentle nutritional support meant to reinforce your nervous system and your body's natural adaptive mechanisms. It's definitely not meant to diagnose, treat, or prevent a medical disease. It's more about providing your biology with the raw materials it needs to weather chronic stress. Kind of like giving your muscles protein after a really heavy workout, right? Moving on to Section 2, Biology and Neural Connections, the trace element. Let's zoom in and look at the actual biological role this natural trace element plays in the human body. Decades of scientific research actually show that natural lithium acts like a master conductor for some incredibly complex systems in our brains. It's naturally present in trace amounts in water and food. And inside the body, it helps fine-tune your serotoninergic and dopaminergic systems. Basically, it helps balance your mood, your motivation, and your drive. On a cellular level, it influences signaling pathways and supports neuroplasticity, which is just a fancy way of saying your brain's ability to rewire and adapt to new challenges. It even regulates an enzyme called GSK3 and promotes neurotrophic factors like BDNF. And BDNF is essentially miracle grow for your brain cells. It helps them grow, adapt, and form totally new synaptic connections. Now, it is absolutely vital to draw a distinction here. We are exploring mild physiological modulation. This is all about keeping your biology within its natural nutritional bounds. Because it's a true microdose, it works quietly in the background, It supports neuronal activity and stabilizes your emotional reactivity, but without causing any of the heavy sedative effects or systemic side effects you'd see with high pharmacological doses. It's really the difference between a gentle nudge to stay on track and forcefully slamming on the brakes. Section 3. Cognitive and anti-stress support, the modern epidemic. Let's see how this cellular biology actually translates into everyday cognitive endurance and stress defense. There's a pretty stark contrast between an unmanaged brain and a supported one. On one side, you have the biological chaos of chronic stress. Your HPA axis, which is your body's central stress response system, becomes hyperactivated. Think of it like an internal alarm bell that literally won't shut off. Cortisol spikes, you get low-intensity neuroinflammation, and your sleep architecture just completely falls apart. But on the flip side, microdosed lithium acts as a protective buffer. It steps in to provide neuronal stability, regulate that runaway stress response, and preserve the adaptive reserves of your central nervous system so you don't burn out. And when you buffer that stress effectively, the cognitive benefits become super clear. For anyone dealing with massive information loads, this nutritional support specifically targets mental fatigue. It helps maintain your concentration, supports short-term and working memory, and ultimately improves your overall cognitive endurance. That means staying completely sharp during hour 4 of a deep dive meeting, or maintaining focus at the end of a grueling trading day when you'd normally be crashing hard. It lets you sustain that high-level output for much longer. But true cognitive performance absolutely requires recovery, right? Well, Si14 Li also functions as a neuroprotectant. It actively lowers oxidative stress in nerve tissue and supports mitochondrial function, the powerhouses of your cells. In practical terms, this mild regulation dials down that frustrating evening hyperarousal, that wired but tired feeling. It helps normalize how fast you fall asleep, reduces those annoying middle-of-the-night awakenings, and improves your overall subjective sleep quality, so you actually wake up feeling refreshed and ready to tackle the day. All right, Section 4, Mechanism of Action, the formula. Let's get into the specifics of the Si14 Li formula itself and how it achieves this really delicate neurochemical balance.
10 ppm, parts per million. This is the ultra-low concentration of colloidal lithium in this specific solution, which perfectly highlights its role as a microdosed supplement. To put that into perspective, it is a highly controlled, incredibly minute trace amount. And it's exactly this precision that ensures it's designed for safe, daily nutritional support rather than aggressive medical intervention.
Let's translate the heavy science for a second. How exactly do these trace 10 ppm amounts operate inside the cell? Well, by modulating secondary messengers like IP3 and CAMP and inhibiting the GSK3 enzyme strictly within physiological limits, this formula manages to keep neuronal membranes stable. These secondary messengers are essentially the communication network inside your cells. By fine-tuning them, the trace element provides highly precise neurochemical regulation, and it does it without creating any pharmacological burden or toxicity on your system. The formula itself is incredibly pure. You're looking at a highly purified, deionized water base, the 10 ppm colloidal lithium, and the Si14 stabilizing complex. That is literally it. It's completely free of sugars, artificial flavors, colors, alcohol, and GMOs. There's no filler here to disrupt your biology. Plus, being in a colloidal form ensures the active element is evenly distributed in the solution, so you get maximum highly reliable effectiveness with every single dose. Section 5. How to take Si14 Li. Let's see how this builds into a practical daily routine based on the manufacturer's recommendations. So the sublingual delivery method is key for adults taking this. You measure out 5 milliliters once a day and hold it under your tongue for 30 to 60 seconds before swallowing. Bypassing the immediate digestive tract by allowing it to absorb under the tongue means the trace elements can enter your system rapidly. Doing this on an empty stomach, or about 20 to 30 minutes before a meal, allows for the most efficient, uninstructed, and controlled absorption right into your system.
Now, this isn't just some one-off energy drink. It's designed as a structured protocol. The intended course is 30 to 60 days of consistent use. This time frame is completely necessary to properly build up those adaptive reserves in your central nervous system. Think of it like slowly recharging a deeply depleted battery. You need consistency over a few weeks to achieve that long-term neurocognitive stability and really reap the benefits of cellular protection.
Of course, as with any dietary supplement, safety always comes first. The source clearly outlines a few specific contraindications. It's not for anyone under 18, nor for pregnant or lactating women. If you have any individual intolerances, you should naturally avoid it. And importantly, if you have any history of thyroid diseases, a prior consultation with a doctor is absolutely mandatory before use. As always, consult a specialist before starting a new supplement regimen to make sure it aligns with your personal health profile. So, having looked closely at the science of cellular protection, the balancing of neurotransmitters, and the tangible support for cognitive endurance, we have to ask ourselves, in a world that constantly demands more and more from our brains, how might trace elements like this fit into our own high-pressure lives? It's a really fascinating approach to a personalized anti-stress strategy, and definitely something to think about the next time you feel the weight of modern burnout creeping in. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.